Shauna's slowly becoming the anti-hero, borderline villain that I've been waiting for with this character in Yellowjackets. Season 3, Episode 4 of Yellowjackets is out, and it's called 12 Angry Girls and One Drunk Travis. It's a nod in reference to the 1957 legal drama 12 Angry Men, a movie about 12 jurors who have to decide whether or not this teenage boy who is on trial for unaliving his abusive father is guilty or innocent. It's supposed to be a critique on the American jury system during the McCarthy era. Of course, this is coming off of the heels of the fact that they finally captured Coach Ben out of that gas-filled cave, and they are doing their own little mock trial that a lot of them probably have done when they were in high school. I made a video about Coach Ben after the finale of season 2. Feel free to watch that video. It's under my Yellowjackets playlist. I talked about how he has been positioned amongst this dynamic of survivors to be an outsider, despite the fact that he has an inherent authority over these kids. But given the circumstances that they are in, traditional civilized dynamic has reversed. In this mock trial, we get a lot of context and a lot of backstory to Coach Ben and his relationship and how he feels about the girls that he was coaching and teaching. He was asked straight on by Misty, who was defending him, "Did you even like teaching or coaching? Why have you been at our high school for 9 years then if you didn't like any of that? Didn't like being around kids?" And a lot of it has to do with resonating with a lot of these girls and this outsider underdog mentality. He talks about in his testimony that he has always been an underdog his entire life. From the fact that he's a closeted gay, from the fact that he apparently was a soccer player at one point and then he got injured, and that's why he kind of went down this alternative path to being a substitute teacher and just like coach for high school soccer. And he went on to talk about how he was just in awe of these girls. He loved that these girls were relentless underdogs who were just clawing their way to the top. Even though he was very close to actually saying the quiet part out loud, which is the fact that I didn't want to partake in cannibalism. And honestly, fair. It also makes sense why he was the closest to Misty and Natalie, because in a way, these two also were outsiders amongst this dynamic as well. Obviously more apparent with Misty, given that she was just the equipment manager. But the way that Natalie presented herself and just walked amongst the soccer team, she always felt and appeared different than the other girls. And when Natalie became the leader of the group, that's when Coach Ben realized that I can't be a part of this anymore. I was revisiting this finale scene where the cabin was burning down. And the way that this scene was set up, you would just naturally assume that Coach Ben set the cabin on fire, given that he took the matches from the girls. But they intentionally did not show a scene that explicitly showed Coach Ben lighting that match and like throwing it into the cabin. That lays the foundation for reasonable doubt, not just for the girls, but for us, the audience viewers. Similar to 12 Angry Men, a lot of it's going to be speculation and just based on our own context and our own background and our own POV of whether or not Coach Ben truly did it or not. Coach Ben can plead his case all day, every day, and tell these girls that he truly did not set that cabin on fire. 12 Angry Men and what this mock trial taught us is that the truth really doesn't matter. It's how the jury who has the power in this situation, how they perceive the situation, and how they will ultimately decide your fate. And in this case, Shauna persuaded Lottie and Lottie's followers to give the guilty verdict. I mean, even Coach Ben said it at the beginning of the episode where it doesn't really matter if you are trying to feign justice in this mock trial. It is a farce and everyone here already thinks I'm guilty, so there's no point in really doing this entire song and dance, and he was ultimately right. There's also a power dynamic shift after this mock trial, given that Natalie was put on the stand and accused of knowing that Coach Ben was still alive and not doing anything about it. And I think that's going to result in people wanting Shauna to be leader now, especially if Lottie has her support, which is fascinating given in the present, Shauna kicked out Lottie. Again, to my earlier video, Shauna's been burning bridges left and right. She is super paranoid given that someone is trying to mess with her. She accused Misty of doing all of that, even though I don't think Misty is. I do think that older Melissa has something to do with all of this, which again, I believe that's Hillary Swank's character, especially with the ending of the young girl's storyline where Melissa told Shauna that now this is power, you persuaded people to vote guilty for Coach Ben. Something about Melissa feels off. The only happy people in this episode was Taissa and Van, and I love these little side quests that they were doing. This entire sequence was a callback to, I don't know if it was season 1 or season 2, where Van told Taissa that she wants to take Taissa to New York, and they eat pretzels and they go on that carriage ride through Central Park, fulfilling that dream for them, when at that time that did not feel like it could have been feasible because they were just trying to survive. I love how level-headed Van is in comparison to Taissa. Complement each other very well. Opposites definitely attract. And finally, what the hell, Yellowjackets? What the hell? I mean, I guess story-wise, it makes sense for these Yellowjackets girls to drop like flies one by one. But given that Lottie has been so mysterious for these few episodes that we've gotten this season, I feel like we'll get all the Yellowjackets girls back together again to try to figure out what happened to Lottie. That will lead into Hilary Swank finally coming into the picture as older Melissa. I'm still holding out that we get an older Coach Ben. I'm holding out. I'm holding out.